Definitely lots of crazy news coming in right now, especially from people who are affected by this sickness that are having their skin color turn very black or developing on what doctors are calling now COVID toes. Yes, the strange reality that we're dealing with just got that much stranger. And that's why in this video we're going to be breaking down all the latest developments surrounding this sickness, new bombshell information coming from Russia, as well as new important studies whose discoveries will have significant impact on all of this. All of this, plus a lot more, on this independent media organization that survives because of the partnerships we have with private businesses that we trust. And one of them we have is, of course, SafePreparedAndReady.com, a group that sells storable food that I've been working with for a number of years. I'm very happy to have their products now. It's important to understand that they have a very severe long delay in shipping, which is now 8 weeks, which is, again, a lot better than it was before. Previously, it was 12 weeks. And if you're looking for emergency food supply, usually just a bag of rice and beans will suffice, and you can get those pretty cheaply. But if you're looking for a luxury item when it comes to storable food, SafePreparedAndReady.com is your store. As hell, I even eat these things when I'm camping and I'm too lazy to do any real cooking for myself, to be honest with you. And because I like them, this is why I set up an affiliate deal with them. The website will be in a description for you to click down below. Now, the situation that we're dealing with is definitely a fast-moving situation where we're still getting a lot of the important information coming in. There's a lot of conflicting information. There's a lot of evidence suggesting one theory about this and another theory about this, but in short, there's still a lot of uncertainty. The latest official numbers that we're getting from authorities is that allegedly in the United States, 47,000 people have died from this sickness. Many people contest this number because of the differences in reporting, but so far officially that is the number so far. We're also getting closer to finding out who patient 0 was in the United States. And according to officials in Santa Clara, California, they announced after conducting a test that it was a healthy 57-year-old woman who died suddenly at home from this after complaining of flu-like symptoms all the way back in February, 3 weeks before the previously thought official fatality from this. And according to some theories, this sickness was spreading even way before that. But of course, we're still looking for data to conclusively assert that theory as correct. But obviously, this is a difficult situation where still, many times people are left on their own accord to deal with. Now, there is a new bombshell statewide study that just happened in New York that collected 3,000 antibody samples from 40 locations in 19 counties in New York. And it shows that the state most heavily hit by this has a 13.9 infection rate already, estimating that already 21.2% of New York City residents have dealt with this sickness. More than a fifth of all residents showing that they have antibodies, which equates to 1.8 million people. And if this data is correct, it is showing that the fatality rate of this is 0.8%, especially when you counter in the data of confirmed deaths alone. And a 0.6 rate when you combine it with presumed deaths. And if this is the accurate mortality rate, this is something that is a lot more manageable than, of course, the previous numbers and projections that came out before. Now, of course, some people are contesting these antibody tests, saying that the tests are, quote, more than 90% accurate, but can also perform far lower depending on many outside circumstances. And with that particular data, especially with 3,000 people being tested, some people are saying that more than 90% of the positive results could be false positives, which of course would be an extreme scenario, but also a possibility. Now again, a lot of this data is still unclear. There are still more tests that need to be conducted to get the actual real numbers here. And we have to keep in mind the previous Stanford study that we brought up before and questioned as well was also retracted recently. But that study highlighted very similar results like we're seeing from this study. So with that information, Obviously, there's still a lot unknown, and as we collect more data and information, then we could come toward a better conclusion. And again, there's still a lot that we don't know about this sickness, including the fact that the CDC and many other, quote, authorities have been telling us that fever is the top symptom of this. But from another study, we're finding out that 70% of patients that were admitted into hospitals didn't have a fever here in, of course, New York City. We're also finding data that ventilators could potentially be hurting more people than helping them, as now we have information that more than 85% of people placed on ventilators later died. Another thing to really consider and look at is the latest information coming from Chinese doctors in Wuhan that are saying that people have recovered from this sickness, but they still continue to test positive for it without showing any symptoms. Chinese doctors also have a theory about how this sickness emerged in December and how a growing number of people have had this already and they recovered, but yet again are still somehow testing positive long after the previous expected days. And then we have this strange story of this doctor in Wuhan that was infected with this sickness after, of course, working there, placed on life support, and then his skin turned very dark. Well, some doctors are saying that this happened because of a hormonal imbalance after liver damage and testing of certain drugs. And this doctor is still bedridden, which he has been for 99 days, with only recently regaining the ability to speak. Another strange result of this sickness, some doctors are finding patients with purple, blue, or red discoloration in toes and sometimes in fingers, which some dermatologists believe is connected to the sickness, dubbing them, quote, COVID toes. So what the hell are we dealing with here? Well, most likely a bioweapon, and that's what we've been saying all the way since February, since, of course, there was a lot of evidence and writing on the wall suggesting this. It's important to be clear here that no one knows the exact origin of this sickness, but a lot of data suggests that it came from the only level 4 biolab in all of China, which was also located in the epicenter where this sickness started. And now we're getting bombshell information from a Russian microbiologist who is world-renowned in his profession, who is saying that this Wuhan laboratory did absolutely crazy things to alter this category of sickness so it could infect humans. Yes, he's saying the scientists did absolutely crazy things to make sure that this category of sickness could infect human beings, which, after looking at all the things that are happening in the world right now, kind of makes sense. Again, nothing officially verified, just a lot of evidence suggesting it. And this, coming from Russia, a major ally of China, is very eye-opening. This renowned professor also said, quote, "It's too early to blame anyone," and he said that the Chinese scientists could have created this without malicious intent, possibly even trying to have an HIV vaccine. Or they could have been creating the next bioweapon, since of course that's what world powers do. China has been actively talking about conducting biowarfare. So has the United States, and we have to understand that this could also be potentially a possible scenario unfolding here as well. Since again, we're moving in a very fast-paced situation with many updates, with even the virus changing and mutating itself, which of course this should raise a lot of questions, especially when it comes to a vaccine that a lot of Western leaders and mainstream media have been pushing, because if a virus mutates, the previous vaccine won't be effective. And with many people catching the sickness, being allegedly cured, and then catching it again, there being a reinfection rate, that should raise a lot of questions around this vaccine that, of course, many people have put their full faith and trust in. And according to some, there are already many different strains of this sickness, which could explain why some areas like Italy and New York are more heavy hit than other areas like Germany and California compared to them. And with all of this talk, with all this uncertainty, tensions between China and the United States have gotten worse, with even a Chinese Academy of Science microbiologist coming out implying that the United States was responsible for the origin of this sickness, demanding that the United States prove otherwise. And of course, as tensions heat up between China and the United States, we're going to see more of these accusations being thrown against each other. And honestly, they're not helpful. There should be more data. We should be investigating this, and we should be doing everything in our power to get to the bottom of exactly what's happening, since again, we don't know, and we don't have any definitive conclusions here to go on, because again, there's still so much new information coming in that a lot of people are not expecting. Some people are making arguments that the lockdown has saved lives and even saved economies, while others are saying that it did the complete opposite. Both have evidence suggesting their side is right, but who really is? Well, we still honestly don't know with 100% certainty. Personally, I think a decentralized approach would have been a lot better than a universal one. Personally, I do think a lot of elderly and immune-compromised people should be taking extra precautions, and I think we, as people, should be taking extra precautions around them. Should have we locked down? Right now, from everything that I'm seeing, in my own personal opinion, I don't think that was the right move. Am I 100% certain of it? No. Could I be wrong? Yes. And I think it's important to have these kinds of conversations in an honest format, because we're definitely not getting that from our government. We are seeing a lot of saber rattling. We are seeing this situation get out of hand and may even be leading us towards a war, which we should avoid at all costs. Already, speech is being directly attacked, and if you are waging a war, controlling communications is essential. And already, myself and others have had their videos deleted. This channel was fully demonetized, and that's why I'm just working with companies that I like, I trust, that I use, that I can recommend to you, that still allows us to be here. So yeah, as the situation develops in the strange, weird, crazy way that it is, we of course are going to be following it very closely, keeping our ears to the ground, waiting to report to you the latest and most important information. If you think we did that in this video, share it with your friends and family members. Click that share button, send it to someone, because if you don't, no one else will. YouTube, again, has been directly attacking us because of these videos and the videos we made all the way back in January, warning you and telling you to take this entire situation seriously. And it's a very serious situation that will only get more serious from now. If you have the ability to grow a garden, do it. Radical self-reliance will be the solution towards all of this. remember, no one is going to save you. You can only save yourself. That's our message for today. Stay tuned for more here on We Are Change. Love ya.